What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely. Straight up, no chaser. Before I even start, I want to give a shout out to Force Windu, Lady Miss Thing Green, BGS, IB Moore, and Marvin Battle Jr. Thank you, y'all members, and so I got to give y'all a shout out. And usually I don't come and do impromptu streams, but something was brought to my attention this morning, and I had to chime in on it. This article, it just really it set me off. It put me in a bad way. Okay? And the title of the article is called, "Why Are Men Still Explaining Things to Women?" I'm gonna put it on the screen because it pissed me off. And what pisses me the most off about it is the imagery and the iconography used within it. Okay? Now, clearly, you can see that this is a picture of a woman with an afro. That's a black woman. And that's a black man. That's a black man explaining something to a black woman. Now, this article is written by a white woman. Now, why the New York Times decided to use imagery and iconography related to black men about this issue is beyond me, but they decided to. So that's one thing that pisses me off about it. But the content of the article in and of itself, it pisses me off as well. You understand what I'm saying? So here's what pisses me off about it. I'm going to read through, okay? Because look, let me just say this before I even begin. I did a video that wasn't a live stream on the subject matter of mansplaining. Go check it out. And at the end of that video, I basically said, fuck your feelings. And I mean that. This is social and political equality. Fuck mansplaining. I don't give a fuck if you're a woman, a man, a child. I don't care who you are. Men interrupt each other all the time. You're a social, political equality with men right now, so you got to fucking take it. You know how many times women interrupt men? Incessantly. You know how many times women talk over men? Incessantly. You know how many times women nag men? Fucking incessantly. So I don't want to hear this shit about mansplaining. Fuck your idea of mansplaining. To me, it's a way to try to silence men. I don't care if I don't know what I'm talking about, if I do know what I'm talking about, whatever the case may be, fuck it. Deal with the conversation. Otherwise, back the fuck off. Period. I'm going to go through this article, man. It pisses me off because at every turn, you see men's intelligence being belittled. You see men's way of orientating themselves to the world being challenged. So fucking what? Some man is trying to explain something to you. Either he does or does not have valuable information for you. Either you accept it or reject it. So fucking what? So fucking what? So look, would you please stop talking? You know how many times I thought that? But you never hear me come out and call some phenomena woman-splaining. I don't even talk about women nagging. Please, would you stop talking? So anyway, it's common, it's cringeworthy, and it's been documented. Some might argue since at least the 17th century. So we going back to the 1600s to talk about men explaining shit. It happens on Twitter. It happens at work and at Thanksgiving dinners, in bar rooms and classrooms. Famous men do it, uncles do it, politicians. So every man does it. That's what that shit is basically. So every man does this. Politicians, bad dates, bureaucrats, neighbors, blah, 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 blah. Okay, everybody does it. You might do it, okay? Yes, we're talking about mansplaining. The portmanteau describes the act of man's unsolicited explaining, generally to a woman, something he thinks he knows more about than she knows, occasionally at anesthetizing length, whether he knows anything or not. So what the fuck you listening to somebody who don't know shit for? For what fucking reason? Why are you feeling obligated to listen? Half the time, most of you motherfuckers ain't listening no way. So why are we even entertaining this bullshit? Anyway, man, the apt articulation of this phenomenon began with Rebecca Solnit's 2008 essay, Men Explain Things to Me, which describes a conversation with a man at a party whose eyes were fixed on the fuzzy far horizon of his own authority. After he discovers that Miss Solnit's latest book was about the British photographer Edward Muybridge, he cuts her off to pontificate relentlessly on a very important Muybridge book he thinks she should read. Turns out it was her book and he hadn't read it. Okay, so he was fronting. That's just a jackass. Bottom line, you act like women don't lie about shit they don't know shit about. So that was one jackass. So now we about to take an entire population, fucking half of the world's, damn near half the world's population, and talk about how they know things. See, this is how fucking anecdotal evidence is complete and absolute fucking bullshit. This is a qualitative essay about a phenomenon that she's claiming is in existence with no quantitative data or analysis what the fuck soever. But this is where we are in popular culture as it pertains to describing the relationship between men and women. This is the kind of fucking logic we're using. An anecdote. Okay, so anyway, turns out it was her book and he hadn't read it. By Miss Solnit's telling, it took 3 or 4 interjections by her friend to get through to the mansplainer that Miss Solnit was indeed the author before he finally heard it. Tellingly, it also took time for Miss Solnit to recognize the book he was referring to was in fact her own. So caught up was I in my assigned role as ingenue that I was perfectly willing to entertain the possibility that another book on the same subject had come out simultaneously and I'd somehow missed it. So Mansplain, a word that reaches far beyond the borders of the United States, was inspired by that essay. Today, an ever-evolving list of international iterations exists. In German, it's Erklären. It's French, also the m'explique. Italians, Massagation. There's a Spanish version of it, and there's a Russian, an Arabic, Hindu, Hindi, Mandarin, Ukrainian, Japanese. A whole bunch of women are beginning to basically coalesce around this concept of mansplaining. But it so-called illuminates a much deeper problem than the bore of patronizing monologues. As Miss Solnit notes, it crushes young women into silence. Really? So a motherfucking trash compactor like a deus ex machina appears out of the fucking sky and automatically squashes you like a fucking character in a Saw movie or some shit? That it crushes your little ego that much? You feel that goddamn compelled to listen to what some arbitrary asshole that you don't even fucking know is saying that is going to crush your entire fucking world? Really? It trains us in self-doubt and self-limitation just as it exercises men unsupported confidence. Really? That's exactly what some jackass at a party that's acting like he knows more than he knows is fucking training you in self-doubt and limiting yourself, and is leading to his increased ability to be overconfident. It's just a jackass lying about some shit he doesn't know. It ain't that fucking goddamn big of a deal, man. More than a decade, he's probably trying to impress you so he can get some pussy. It's all it is. But it is what it is. We got to inflate this shit and make it some sort of humongous phenomenon. Another point at which women are fucking oppressed. You know how many times I've had men explain shit to me that they didn't know shit about, and I entertained it any fucking way? And you know how many times it happened when I didn't know shit and I thought I knew some shit and we got to a point of clarification in the context of the fucking conversation? This shit is ridiculous, man. More than a decade on, why is men's interruption of women to explain things, often things they know less about than the women to whom they're explaining? Why is this shit still so common? So you got Kate Mann, a white fucking feminist philosopher in a philosophy department at Cornell, explores the issue in a chapter of her new book entitled How Male Privilege Hurts Women. So some jackass acting as if he knows more than he knows, that's fucking hurting you. That's fucking hurting you. See, anything can hurt a motherfucking woman nowadays. You say hi to her, you're fucking hurting her. You explain some shit that you don't even fucking know about like a jackass, and then all of a sudden you're hurting her. You're fucking with her self-confidence. You're expressing your privilege. This is complete and fucking bullshit, man. This is complete and absolute bullshit. And anybody who buys into it is full of shit. And the fact that there are people in the academy pushing this bullshit tells you exactly where the fuck we are in academia right now. It should give you some indication of where the fuck we are. On a recent call from her home, so basically she was interviewed to talk about the subject matter of fucking mansplaining. And she had to unpack the problem for her. How did we arrive at the idea that men are the authorities of knowledge? Perhaps maybe because in the earliest stages or the formations of sciences and arts, men were the ones who fucking figured it out. Maybe that's the reason why. Maybe that's the fucking case. Maybe that's why men feel like they're the authorities on knowledge. Maybe they're the ones who work out the proofs for the rules of symbolic logic, modus potens, modus tollendo tollens, De Morgan's theorem, hypothetical syllogism, constructive dilemma. There's a whole host of rules related to fucking logic. Maybe they're the ones that worked out the proofs of mathematics, found out the laws of nature and shit. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's because it's usually been the province of men. And they argue, men argue with one another. Duh. Anyway, mansplaining may be recently named, but it's most likely a phenomenon as old as time. Inherently in patriarchy is men's entitlement to value all valuable human goods. Things like love. So inherent in patriarchy is men's entitlement to all valuable goods. Things like love. Oh, only men think they're entitled to love, right? Care. Oh, only men feel like they're entitled to fucking care, right? Adoration. Oh my God. Only men feel like they're fucking entitled to be adored. Sex. Oh, women don't feel like they're entitled to fucking sex. No, 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 no. And power? Shit. Please don't give me a fucking goddamn trope or a goddamn tirade about power and women's non-desire of power. That's a fucking lie. And entitlement to knowledge. Who the fuck feels entitlement to knowledge? Knowledge is a blessing, a gift if you come across it. When it comes to knowledge, especially of a prestigious sort, the idea that men have a prior claim to it is as venerable as the patriarchy itself. Sometimes it's connected to the idea that women are incapable of being authority figures. What if you're an authority on some shit? Be the authority. You're going to get challenged, especially if you're the fucking authority. This is what I don't get about this bullshit. There's no idea that has been uncontested in academia. But these motherfuckers feel like they can have ideas and tropes and arguments and narratives and that they should not be challenged because, well, they're just true. We just observe the world objectively. We understand how things are working, and you guys are, you think you're entitled and privileged. In reality, you feel like you're privileged to operate in the world where men are supposed to fucking defer to you and not get rough and tumble with you. That's what the fuck you have a privilege to. Men not engaging you like they engage other men. That shit is about to come to a fucking close. Nobody has to take the gloves off to make you feel like a fucking princess cupcake. Take the fucking tiara off. Take off the fucking tiara. Sometimes it's connected to the idea that women are incapable of being authority figures. In politics, for example, Aristotle wrote, "The slave is wholly lacking in the deliberative element. The female has it, but lacks authority." Now that fucking statement is taken completely out of fucking context. Anybody that knows about Aristotle's politics knows that deliberation has nothing to do with conversation. And this is a fucking philosophy professor. Deliberation is a fucking thought process that a person uses in order to try to figure out the means by which to accomplish a fucking end, a goal. It has nothing to do with fucking conversation at all. And in fucking Athenian Greek society, women had no fucking authority. So it's a historical, contextual point that Aristotle is making. So why she's bringing it up, I have no fucking idea whatsoever. We know from the classic John versus Jennifer study at Yale that both men and women hold biases, that women are less competent. Is this an essential part of mansplaining? Now, I don't see anywhere in contemporary culture where I see a fucking lack of confidence in women related to their competency. In fact, all I'm getting over and over again is that women know more than men about politics, economics, love life, about the fucking world, about reality itself, is what the fuck I'm getting. Every time I turn around, it's a woman challenging a man's claims on something. And then she says in agreement, absolutely. Part of what's going on is the presumption that a woman will be less knowledgeable, less competent, and somehow in need of a man to explain things to her. That doesn't explain the fact that mansplaining also involves men's resistance to evidence that the woman is more knowledgeable on the subject than he is. And sometimes the anger when that turns out to be the case. That happens to anybody, motherfucker. Who does it? If I prove something to you or demonstrate to you something that you fucking thought was wholeheartedly the truth, or that you knew, and that other person tends to know more about it, or it turns out that they do know more, that's humbling. It happens to anyone that it happens to at all. Has nothing to do with men, women, none of this bullshit. Nothing. But we're going to make it some, you take any trivial issue and turn it into a fucking gender issue. Why do some men mansplain even when they know of a woman's qualifications? I connected to the sense of entitlement of certain privileged men to be the expert, the knower in the exchange, whereas paradigmatically, the expert's a woman is the ingenue in need of his injection of information, as Rebecca Solnit put it. Look, if you at the top of the food chain, it's going to be 100,000 motherfuckers coming at your neck. Bottom line, if you the head kahuna, it's going to always be somebody challenging you. Get fucking used to it. Man the fuck up. Grow a set of nuts. Some testes. You say privileged men, but men who are less privileged, aside from their maleness, also mansplain. While it tends to be worse with men who are more privileged, there's a powerful gender dynamic where he's often been socialized to feel he's the authority. You mean he actually has something to say? He should stand up for himself? He shouldn't object to some shit that he hears? Or he just must defer to you because you're the fucking expert? What type of shit is this? This is anti-democratic bullshit. People challenge each other in conversation all the time. That's life. And you are not exempt from this shit just because you got a fucking uterus. Period. Girls, on the other hand, are socialized to be pleasing and polite. I haven't found that to be the fucking case. Not in my community. Socialized into being pleasing and polite? You mean all the neck rolling, name calling, the boy please, you are trash and all that? Right now, I'm not even in academic mode. I don't give a fuck about academic mode, man. I'm just tired of being checked everywhere. It's always some excuse for why it's something gender specific when the phenomenon has nothing to do with fucking gender at all. Nothing. And not embarrass men. Absolutely, there's a very strong sense in women that she should provide a pleasant audience to them, one that doesn't interrupt them. Who the fuck likes to be interrupted? Who? Do women ever interrupt men? Do men ever interrupt women? It happens both ways. But you know what? It's a lot of women interrupting men, won't let them get a fucking statement out. Soon as you start talking, I don't want to hear it. But you, and the finger point. Absolutely, there's a very strong sense in women that she should provide a pleasant audience to them, one that doesn't interrupt them. Correcting someone is an inherently hierarchical act. So why do fucking women interrupt men all the goddamn time and hardly give them a fucking word, let them get a word out? You act like men are walking around telling women, shut up, bitch. We don't even walk around doing that. And sometimes we actually should. It's saying you're wrong, I'm right. Jumping in when he's mistaken or less expert is inverting the gender hierarchy. If a man interrupts another man, the man is going to say, hold on, let me finish. I'm not done saying what I got to say. Hold on, let me finish my point. You're talking about a phenomenon that happens amongst men, but now you're making it gender specific to you. Look, I'm done reading this fucking article. I'm done reading it. I'm just sick and tired of all this bullshit, bro. I'm sick of hearing all of these complaints. Either you're going to be on social and political parity with men, and that means you're going to be challenged. You're going to be subject to all the errors that men make and all of the virtues that they have that come along with them. One way or the other, man. You got to take the good with the bad, the bitter with the sweet, the pepper and the salt. It is what it is. Thank you very much for the donation. I ain't firebrand. I'm just pissed off, man. I'm just tired of hearing the same bullshit everywhere you turn. You think men don't experience men mansplaining each other? It's called being rude. It ain't got shit to do with mansplaining. And women are just as prone to this bullshit as are men. I'm sick of this bullshit, bro. I'm out of here, man. Y'all be peaceful, man. That's just, this was a quick hitter. I'm done, bro. And you're right, man. Women don't want to fucking lose. Sometimes you lose, bro. Sometimes you fucking lose. I'm out of here.